Yes, so I welcome all of you today in today's webinar, and I, I welcome Venerable Narada sir, Professor Sachindra Narayan sir, and Professor Girish Nath Jha sir in today's webinar. I request Professor Narayan sir to start with today's webinar.
Okay, thank you, Swayam Siddha. Today we are having two distinguished panelists with us. One is Professor Jha from JNU. He is an expert on language and social science. The other expert is Professor Narada Thero from Sri Lanka. But is he? Can we see him on the screen? Our friends from Sri Lanka, has he joined? So, and the viewers of the Facebook and the viewers of the YouTube, we are thankful to them that their increasing number on Facebook and YouTube are making the programs more and more popular. That's why we also sometimes try to raise such questions, such issues, which may be useful for the younger generation. So in that continuities, today's program webinar theme is quite relevant to the younger generations also because deals with it is on the cultural heritage and the peace. The cultural heritage and the peace means what is the culture is the total sum of the artifact and the artifact. The artifact and the artifact means whatsoever we are using in our day-to-day life with the instruments that we are using for uh, survival, for our survival, like the agricultural instruments or for the education or for the health services, all that taken together, that is the sum total of the artifacts and the artifacts of the life become a sum total of culture. So culture is it means we are responsible for the creation of the culture, for the continuity of the culture, for the maintenance of the culture, and we are part and parcel of the culture. We cannot escape from the culture because we are socialized and we grow up in the culture which we belong, society which we belong, and then the heritage. The heritage is what we inherit from ancestors, whether in the field of education like the Nalanda University, the ancient Nalanda University, or in the modernity, what we are having today, like the most sophisticated computer, mass communication technology, and all that. Because in 70s, when I used to talk about that we are working for a satellite which will help people in watching the programs at their in their drawing room, and all those such facilities will be at their doorstep. But then they were wondering how it is possible. But today, all those things which we were talking in the 70s we are seeing today that is happening, and that is the reality of our life. So this is all that is what we inherit. That is what we call the heritage. So the heritage is our responsibility, the responsibility of each human being to maintain the heritage, to promote the heritage, to preserve the heritage, and to work for the promotion and maintenance of the heritage. That is our responsibility, which we will be transferring, which we transfer to our next generation, the coming generation. If we fail in our duty, then what we will be giving to our next generation, our coming generation. So that is when that responsibility lacks, then the situation like the climate change or something like climate change happens on the earth, on the globe. and then the nature never escapes from responsibility of keeping each human being in a normal condition of the culture, normal condition of the society, so that they can inherit the heritage. Our heritage is very rich, and we are proud of our heritage. And in that context, we remember Gandhi ji because he is the last person who the people have seen, many of the people have seen, and the younger generation have heard and seen the film on Gandhi or seen the documentary on Gandhi and have read the Gandhi. But that was a reality. So is the case with the Buddha, because these are of the recent time who worked for the peace of this, peace of the mind and the health of physique of the people throughout the globe. They were not responsible, they didn't work only for themselves or for their own society, but for the whole world. That is the global approach. The global approach of peace is very, very expanding and very, very exhaustive list of that peace is there. Because peace is a state of mind, not only a state of mind, that if one sits alone, then he will sometime he will be bewildering that what I can do alone, how to attain peace. For attaining peace, loneliness is essential, but loneliness without society will not help you in attaining the peace. So for attaining the peace, you must live in the society and you must have the cooperation of the society. So this is we welcome Dr. Narada Thero from Sri Lanka, who has joined us just now, and we are very much thankful to them. We are very, very much thankful to them, to him, that he joined us, and I hope that he will make a good presentation uh, on the theme of today's webinar. So this is a webinar on cultural heritage and world peace. So I was talking about the Buddha who made peace possible because he wanted enlightenment, and that enlightenment, for that he left his home and went to Bodh Gaya, and there ultimately he attained peace, attained peace and moksha and the nirvana that he got. That is the great thing which he achieved on his time. And Gandhi was much influenced. Gandhiji was much influenced by Buddha so far peace is concerned. And so he talked about the peace when he started his first movement, Satyagraha in Champaran. He started uh, talking about peace and asked the people to maintain peace, calm, be quiet during movement, should not use and should not fight, should not use any weapon or anything else. Peace and simplicity is very peace and truth. These two things were the arms of Gandhiji, and with that he owned the freedom of the country. Peace is very powerful. Heritage is very essential, and without peace, one cannot expect there cannot be any development in the field of education or in the field of science or in any other field. You cannot expect any kind of development if peace is not there. If peace is not there in the house, perhaps you may not like to eat food. If you are eating food, you may not feel any taste in the food, but you are eating food because you have to survive. So for survival, food is necessary, but for holistic survival of the human being, peace is equally important. And in terms of cultural heritage, we in India has inherited peace from the very beginning. And the peace we have, if you go through the Rig Vedas, maybe Thero Veda, Rig Veda, Sham Veda, all these Vedas, if you go through them, then you will find that all the Vedas have laid emphasis on peaceful society, on peaceful living, on peace of mind. So, with these words, I welcome our two speakers. And first of all, Professor Jha will talk about, he will make his own presentation, and then we will listen to our learned friend from Sri Lanka. So, with these words, I request Professor Jha to make his presentation. And our presentation, after presentation of both the experts, there is a question answer session. The questions which are raised by the viewers. So we take few selected questions, not all, and later on, also if some important question comes, then we may send it through mail to both the experts, and if you wish, you can reply. So, viewers, we are Society for Empowerment is equally thankful to you, because without viewers, we may not be able to make such an important programs as we are doing. And I hope that the youths of today will will like this program. Today's program is a global program, international program. So our viewers are from different countries, and I expect that the questions which will be raised will be answered at the end of the mm, webinar. So thank you very much, of the viewers. Now I request Professor Jha to make his presentation.
Thank you, Professor Narayan. Uh, can everybody hear me? Hello? Yeah. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Hello? Sound
Yes,
check.
yes.
Good,
Yes,
great.
here can.
Thank you, Professor Narayan, for this opportunity. Thank you, Swayam Siddha Dash, for setting this up. And hello, Narada ji. Nice to meet you online. Um, I'm going to talk on heritage, basically the Sanskrit Polyprakrit, the heritage of India, and how can we use technology to document it, comprehensively. And unless we document our heritage, we cannot preserve it in digital world today. So basically, I'm a technology person, so I'll focus on that aspect, and how heritage actually is could be exploited. Heritage can be exploited for a continuum of peace in the world. That is not my area of work that I do. So I'll not be talking about that. So I'll be basically focusing on heritage and its computing. So let me very quickly share my slides. Um, I can let me share my screen completely. Upload files? No, I don't want to. Let me share a PPT. I hope. Let me share the screen. Okay, great. There you go. Okay. So, can everybody see the PowerPoint which I have here? Hello. Can you see the PowerPoint? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, that
Yes,
we can see your
And
PowerPoint.
it is changing also.
yes,
You can
yes.
see it changing. Okay, great. Okay, because different browsers have different capacities in handling the swift change of the slides. So I'm going to talk on the Indian heritage and its computing. And remember, before actually I go into the computing aspects of the Indian heritage, We are actually in the big data-driven artificial intelligence. And when I do talk about AI in India also has to handle manuscripts and the heritage in general. Because unless we do that, we'll be losing a huge amount of knowledge that our ancestors have, constructed for about more than 6-7 thousand years. And then I'll be also talking about briefly what we've done at JNU, and then I'll give a quick demo. Hopefully, I'll be able to wrap it up in about 30 minutes very quickly. So we are in age of data, lot of data and language informatics driven AI. So AI basically works on the linguistic data which is there and how that can be leveraged into creating tools. And one of those tools would be I call handwriting recognition for manuscripts. And manuscripts in India are very complex. I'll be talking about that complexity. The good or bad thing is that the both data and technology are changing rapidly in India, and any R&D has to keep pace with that change. Unless we keep pace with that change, the technology which we create for anything, maybe cultural heritage, will soon become obsolete and outdated. AI has changed. I remember, doing a course in Introduction to Artificial Intelligence when I was doing my master's at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, master's in linguistics, and I did courses in computer science. So this course called Introduction to Artificial Intelligence in 1997 was in fact a course on programming in Prolog and Lisp, the AI programming languages. Now, if you do a course in AI, it would be basically machine learning, deep machine learning, and a lot of actually in Python, etc., etc. So the AI's future is very uncertain because the amount of change that has gone into AI technologies last 10 years or so has been mind-boggling. And the changes which will come to AI in next 5 years will be double the change what we have had last 10-20 years. And this is despite the phenomenal growth in computing capacity and storage. So AI is uncertain despite the progress made in computer science because the requirements are changing faster, our algorithms are changing faster, and the computers, the way computers are perceived in society, that perception is changing faster. There's some examples of big, I call it big linguistic data in India, which needs to be digitized. Judicial documents are lots of them, and administration papers, historical records, sale purchase, etc., etc. All of these are, there's a huge amount of document available, and our focus is Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit manuscripts, which are also, of course, very complex historical documents. Manuscripts are complex, and so complexity of linguistic data that the manuscripts propose need or require smarter technologies. The technologies of the yesteryears are not going to be useful for handling such complex data. So if we are looking for robust tools, they have new requirements of pre-processing, data normalization. They must have multilingual capacity in a very complex India, and multi-script capability, of course, handling mixed language and script. Manuscripts can have potentially mixed language, multiple languages, and in notation marks, and also multiple scripts. All of that could be there. So, defining a manuscript, I think Professor Narayan already defined manuscript as UNESCO would like us to know about it. But I'm talking about heritage as we get it from our manuscripts, primarily. But then we have our manuscripts, printed literature, monuments, cultural practices, artifacts, a lot of things there. And I'll be focusing on manuscripts. Now, if you think of the undivided British India, where we had all of this South Asia as one India, um, um, we had Mughals, we had British before them, we had Mughals, Arabs, Rajputs, Southern kings. A lot of these things happened, and all of them handle heritage differently. Actually, now we are independent but sharply divided, in terms of ideology, in terms of perceptions, etc., etc., and are confused and very careless about how to handle our manuscripts. So some stories, on how I'm a professor in the School of Sanskrit and Indic Studies and do computational linguistics. A lot of my students work on manuscripts, and so we have gone to Iranian embassy to document Sanskrit manuscripts in and around Delhi region, and found them in horrifying situations over there. Then I did University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. I was a visiting professor over there. We had a little a project on actually consultancy kind of project in handling the Jaipur collection, and we found the manuscript there are in good condition. But when my student wanted to do research on Atreya Shiksha, it's a text of phonetics, if I mentioned India, unedited that time, and then he did not find a copy of the manuscript in India, and we luckily found a good copy in Hamburg Library in Germany, and we had to get pictures of every folio of the manuscript, and we had to pay 1,300 euros to get those pictures from Hamburg Library. And the conditions of Indian repositories are pathetic, actually, and the repositories outside India, even in Nepal, in Sri Lanka, in Pakistan, might be in a better shape and in, of course, outside India, European countries, in much better shape. I have been to many such libraries, for example, the Van Pelt Library in University of Pennsylvania, and that is in a much better condition than what we have in India. In India, I think the Jaipur collection would be perhaps in the best situation there. Now, there have been initiatives. I'll talk about some of them, and but what are the challenges, for the big data of Sanskrit manuscripts? So, if I want to today think of, even cataloging, documenting, digitizing, interlinking, and making searchable the manuscripts in India, what are the
Sorry.
challenges actually? So we first have to define what is a Sanskrit manuscript, what is an Indian manuscript, right? So to Indian manuscript, people would like to make us believe that Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit are different. When I say Sanskrit manuscript, I kind of have a big group or category, which includes Pali, Prakrit as well. But when we say Indian manuscript, we include many other kinds of manuscripts like medieval India, also the Buddhist manuscripts, etc., etc. And geographically, the whole of South Asia, actually, East, Southeast Asia, China, other countries, culturally related, where any manuscript text translation is found. Sometimes these are outside, the South Asian region. We have Europe also, we have America also, where a lot of manuscripts are there. And these are multilingual. Sometimes, a single language manuscript may be found in multiple scripts, right? So Sanskrit was written in many scripts, like Devanagari, Uriya, Bangla, you name it, about 12 scripts. And wherever there was no possibility of mapping Sanskrit sounds to, say, for example, Tamil, they created a new script called Grantha, and then which had positioned these phonemes in the alphabet. You can actually write them. And the multilingual, these may be multiple, I call it multi-scripted, and then you could have most of them in handwriting also, the multiple copies with a differential reading. Now, the problem is when we have a manuscript found, the same text found in different regions of India, they may have slightly different dissensions of the texts which are there. And then you have to find out what is the most authoritative text. That exercise that Bhandarkar Oriental Library did for Mahabharata is an example. And the conditions are very bad. In fact, when my student went to Tamil Nadu, some private collection in Tamil Nadu to look for Atreya Shiksha. He saw Atreya Shiksha in the shelf of the owner, But when he picked it up, this entire thing was completely destroyed because it was already, decayed. It had already decayed by, the termites, etc. So conditions are pretty bad. And then there are private collections, so thousands of private collections in India and in South Asia. And the universities and libraries are not equipped, and the private collections cannot handle the manuscripts anymore. And the language is historical and a technical nature of subject matter. For example, a manuscript in a Jyotisha would have a lot of the sketches, graphs, and pictures. And if you want to develop technology for transferring that, in pixels, so that will be another level of computing required there. And the standards are not there, and trained manpower is certainly not there. and sustainable project funding. Because some governments might be quite sympathetic to the cause of manuscript, some governments may not be, and when the governments change, so do the fates of the projects change in India. When the Vajpayee government was there, he set it up, the National Manuscript Mission. I would say really a milestone decision that was unleashed in India, and as a result, this organization was created. It has done a lot of work, and it defined manuscript liberally, and anything older than 75 years is heritage, and effort to collect copies of the MSS, and they did good surveys of libraries, and particularly Orissa, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, they found 35,000 private repositories in these three states alone, and they did cataloging and microfilming, and of course some digitization has happened, and the training in ancient scripts also happens there regularly. But the catalog quality is very bad. I've been there and looking for some critical manuscript that I needed. And the worst thing is that in the government setup, when the governments change, so do the fates of the projects change, and fundings may not be continuous. Poor quality of cataloging, missing manuscripts, incomplete folios, excess issues, all of these, and no work on creating technology and standards. There's over dependence on manpower, and no retention of the trained manpower. That is again another problem in most Indian government projects. But despite all the odds that Sanskrit community has had, but there have been a lot of work actually done for Sanskrit manuscripts already, and but despite all the digitization, there is a rough estimate that 5.2 million is still waiting to be digitized alone in India. If we talk about the Indian heritage, there were 5.2 million still waiting to be digitized. But if you look at other libraries available outside India, clay libraries, I would call that a good effort, kind of a private-public partnership. There they have translated Sanskrit texts in English language, and people pay money to read Sanskrit texts. So there is certainly a lot of demand in Sanskrit texts and original knowledge created by India. Digital Library of India, a multi-government initiative in India, has done some work in hosting some of the Sanskrit texts. IGNC Library, of course, has done some work. CDAC Pune, CDAC Bangalore, and we have done in JNU also. I'll show you some of those things. The Sanskrit Library Project, Sharp, Peter Sharp has done some work, and our own JNU text encoding and search for Sanskrit is also online. So the question is how to bring technology for manuscript preservation, and we need to have a very clear goals, and one of them would be, of course, to set standards for unimodal, bimodal, and multimodal data. Actually, the manuscript, the heritage data comes in textual form, comes in pictures. Handwriting is a picture actually, and it can be speech data. Some traditions are only recited, so there could be speech data, and some traditions are acted, multimodal data. We need to have appropriately metadata, storage, search, and all the standards created for that. And then data input, output mechanisms, handwriting, recognition, etc., and mechanisms for editing, post-editing, post-conversion editing, spelling and grammar check, etc., has to be there. Of course, translation. Then archiving, search, cross-linking, etc., has to be there. Reading help. If you're not able to read a certain text because of the complexity or historical nature of the language, there should be some program or a process which will simplify the text, or even translate it using machine translation. Encourage fundamental research and experimentations. And of course, promotion through popular media, and target younger readers, multilingual delivery, internationalization, all of that, because there's a lot of international community actually working on Sanskrit. I remember about a few months ago, I reviewed a European Union project on was it on Puranas or something, forget. So a lot of initiative on Sanskrit heritage outside India too. Input mechanisms with Unicode in most of our major languages, text can be now entered, and but since they are handwritten documents, we need to have a different input mechanism, of course. And there have been projects given to people for document recognition, and one such project was given to Shantanu at IIT Delhi. And similarly, handwriting project was given to online handwriting recognition for to IC Bangalore, A.G. Ramakrishnan, and I did Microsoft consultancy online handwriting recognition for Devanagari for Microsoft. And let me tell you, it's a very complex task because people write creatively, people write very differently, and what you get on screen is an image, a very creative image. Writing is a creative image actually, and that creative image has to be read by machine and mapped to a certain font, certain writing by a font, So certain ligature has to be mapped to that creative art. And we need a lot of resources, in the data-driven technology of AI that we have today. We need a lot of parallel corpora. So basically, handwriting samples from people or from manuscripts mapped to the actual writing in digital form, and that creates a parallel resource. And that parallel resource goes to the algorithm for training them in recognizing from examples, recognizing the actual handwriting. So assuming that this OCR part is done, optical character recognition is done, we need a lot of text readers, because text readers are software which can actually read the text. And with searches, we need to make them searchable, and of course cross-link the text. I'll show you some examples. And then of course translating from language one to language two. And after that, research and experimentation. For example, I did a research on the Rasai and Sar, 20th century text for Banaras area, and the how people actually use the technique of making bhasma. And we did some research actually in US, Dartmouth. I'll briefly talk about that. So after this is done, then we need to promote our heritage. Promotion is also very, very important. Unless you promote it, people don't continue working in the heritage area, and you end up with a mass which is unusable. So reviving ancient, some scripts are dead. For example, Sharada, Brahmi, Grantha may be almost as good as dead. And so we revived Sharada script in JNU, and now about 150 students have been taught how to read Sharada. And I'm myself working on creating a Sharada font and a text editor. Computer technology work on standards, and we need standards. Standards in India have rarely worked in the past, and the only standard that has worked so far is Panini's grammar. Was the standard for grammars, and that was beautifully done and done with a lot of gut, a lot of research, and then that has become a standard for a lot of work, even in AI, actually, even in computational linguistics. I do linguistics and even grammar writing. And Go to India has done a lot of efforts for standardizing Devanagari, and other states have done so. ISKI was there, and the POS, part of speech standards done by Microsoft Research India. I was hired as a consultant for that. And the Bureau of Indian Standards, of course, have adapted Microsoft Research tag set to create a BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards tag set for mapping all Indian languages. This is an example that all Indian languages have this basic sacrosanct part of speech categories. Then there are different layers, and the layers downwards can be flexible. This layer can be flexible, and when you map this scheme to a language A, B, or C. Funding is very important, and without funding, nothing happens. And these ministries in India generally fund such initiatives. And if I talk of the three most important government initiatives currently, so the mighty Ministry of Information Technology has started Bhashini project, where there is a speech-to-speech machine translation in various stage of completion happening. I'm in the executive committee over there, and principal scientific advisor of PM Modi has started a challenge on machine translation for startup companies. I'm also in their committee, and we have made significant progress here. And Ministry of Education has started with AICTE machine translation for scientific and engineering texts with the vocabulary that we have created at CSTT, the Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, and these are in various stages of successes. So currently, if you talk of Indian academia in different institutes, what are they doing? So IIT Chennai, I would say they are speech experts, speech technology people, and IIT Delhi for optical character recognition. As I say, Shantanu, IIT Bangalore for online handwriting, A.G. Ramakrishnan, and JNU, or myself would be, you can say, language technology, resource creation and tools. CDACs and triple ITs and triple ITMs and some major universities working on machine translation and resource creation. IIT Bombay Pushpak's group working on machine translation and WordNet. Jadavpur and IIT Patna, etc. New players emerging on the field actually. Industry working in different areas. Google, I'm currently consulting for Google for nuances in recognition of Hindi. So the Google has recently released 8 new machine translation languages: Assamese, Konkani, Sanskrit, Maithili, Manipuri, and Dogri, and Mizo and Bhojpuri, two non-scheduled languages also. So a lot of these initiatives happening. Google actually leads the pack with a lot of initiative and investment in language technology for India. Microsoft supports 12 languages, and I have done their Urdu. English to Urdu is done by me. And MSR is a big research agency in many countries. In India also they have their own AI agent called Cortana. So if you compare Microsoft and Google, they are at various stages of development in MT. Google does more than Microsoft. Amazon, of course, has it there, some of it. Apple, Samsung, startup companies. Now, I'll briefly, touch upon what we have done at JNU. So, in this area, we've done projects. Currently, we've been funded for machine translation in the to Maithili called Vidyapati. And I'm doing it with IIT Patna and IIT Bombay and the other projects. A lot of projects. There's no time actually to go into details of it. This one actually is a multilingual corpora project led by JNU with a lot of languages, 17 Indian languages, parallel corpora on my server. And currently, as I said, I'm consulting Google for studying nuances in language recognition for Hindi by their Google Assistant and machine translation. I've been consulting Google for the last 2 years. Nuance for keyboard, because if we want to do post editing in Manuscript, we need fast, predictive keyboards, and the Sanskrit keyboard and Kashmiri keyboard, etc. have been done by me. You can use these predictive keyboards by downloading SwiftKey on your mobile phone. Microsoft USA handwriting, as I mentioned, it did for Devanagari recognition, and goal was that if people write in hand and machine is able to recognize that, then the next step would be the manuscripts, which are actually handwriting. You know. And then one manuscript which Rasayan Sar, I worked with the UMass Dartmouth, 2010 to 12. I was visiting professor over there. Called Preeti Mukesh Chattar, professor of history of science, and 3 PhD students from chemistry department worked on the methods explained in the science are how to create bhasma to be potentially used as bioenhancer. Multimodal data, I worked for UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, and created this multimodal corpora and language models for 8 languages so that security could be enhanced in sensitive places in United States. This is the Microsoft Bing Translator English to Urdu done by me. If you go to this side, you'll see JNU's name over there. And then we have been kind of initiating the recovery of text lost because of the because the scripts being dead. So we have revived Sharada, as I said, and next step would be, of course, the Grantha and Brahmi. We have our tools on our server which can quickly create resources for machine learning, and our students work on. So if you can, I don't know if you can see this website where my PhD students are working on various topics of this area. And the current focus actually is we summarize Sanskrit text. And one PhD student working on summarizing Sanskrit text, and we've done a Sanskrit to Java natural language interface and ASR, automatic speech recognition, and machine translation. These are our current focus. We showcase our research every 2 years, and the last one was in Marseille, done online, and next one is going to happen 2024 again. These are mostly funded by Microsoft Research so far. And very quickly, I'll take and I'll basically go to my server and show you our text. So if I search, say for example, are there were the most controversial text words, and I search Rig Veda, I find a lot of references for the Arya, and none of these references are talk about race, or jatis, none of them. And if I search Dravida, I don't find in Rig Veda nor in Samveda, but I start finding it in Mahabharata. So first occurrence of Dravida appears in Mahabharata, and that too in a context where it says Pandya, Dravida, Chor, Kerala, Andhra, Taval, Kalinga, Ustrakarnik, all of them. And basically, these are regional names of the same people. So this first occurrence of the word Dravida from Mahabharata, it very clearly shows that these words are regional names of people, as we have Bihari, Punjabi, Marathi, etc. today. So no racial connotation at all. So no question of division of people in India, as the British try to propagate. We're the same people across the Vindhyas, north and south, and this is shown by our text. Now, if I similarly do Agni, you get a lot of reference of Rig Veda, and you click on one of the Rig Veda, and you see that Agni is this, and then you want to do etymology of Agni, and you do Nirukta, and it says Agni is Agrani Bhavati, that which leads from front. So Agni led us from front, and we started settling down. Agni cleared the forest, and after Agni we settled down. So these are the things, and then a lot of these searches can actually take you. These have been cross-linked. I can take you to our Ayurveda search, and you see Ayurveda search. We have Shushu Samhita, we have Charak Samhita, and these are all databases. I can take you to very quickly to Shushu Samhita, and we can do search Shushu Samhita, and there's a database that opens, and you can search based on the structure of Shushu Samhita, or you can search any word in Shushu Samhita. It's going to give you the exact references from the text. And then also after we search, then basically you can cross-link. So there are two tantras. I search Purva Tantra is going to construct the next hierarchy from Shushu Samhita. And then you can go down chapter, sub-chapter, shloka, and then it creates an index. You can directly search any word from Shushu Samhita. So Purva Tantra has these sthanas. You search Sutra Sthana, then you get chapters and the sub-chapter, etc., etc. And then finally you can search one particular sutra, and then you get a entire detail of the that sutra. So this is like adhyaya. These are the adhyayas from this sutra. So Purva Tantra, Sutra Sthan, Bhumi Pravibhagi Adhyaya, and then you get all the shlokas from that adhyaya in terms of an indexing. And then you can click any word, and it gives you. So it gives me the index of all the text from this Bhumi Pravibhagi Adhyaya, and with the proper references. So if I say Pippali, I click on Pippali, and then it will give me the entire reference of the Pippali from here. So after we digitize it, convert a manuscript into digital text, these are the possibilities that can happen. And unless we have these possibilities, how can people actually research the original text of Ayurveda or any text of India? Similarly, you can go to Mahabharata. We have Mahabharata, and you have and you can get. We have different dictionaries. We have Amarkosh. Our Amarkosh, is a thesaurus. And if you want to search Amarkosh, and I can search Go, and you will see the entire etymology and the hierarchy of all the words and meanings, etc. in Go. So if I search Go, if I search the Go, Mr. Swargvarga. So it's going to now find the all the words from Swarga, and then Alka, and then it's going to give you the details of the word. Similarly, Go, etc. You can see the different kinds of possibility that this thesaurus has, and then you can make sure, like the Alka is noun singular. It's a Kuber, city of Kuber, and then these are the languages here. You can also edit it. So I'll quickly then show you one more software. A lot of tools are here, and then I can quickly give you the Transliterator, where I can dump a text and in Sanskrit, some text, and then convert it into multiple Indian scripts. That's also possible. So I can dump this text here, select Devanagari, and then select Bangla, and this text becomes Bangla, and similarly Odia. So a lot of these possibilities are there, and you can obviously go to my site and then check it. I'll quickly show you. We teach our students how to digitize manuscripts. So this manuscript is from Mithila area, Dundi Raj, and you can go to each. You can directly, if there is no AS, the technology for converting text into digital text, you can scan the folio and make it an HTML driven digital text like that, also possible, right? So these are some of the things that can be done. So finally, we need a concerted and sustained effort for digitization of Indian heritage in India. That will need resource creation of manuscripts in Pali and other languages, and then development of suitable AI components for the recognition and processing, interlinking text editors, automatic translation, research and promotion. And some suggestions which I have been given in some of my talks, that we have to create a Sanskrit manuscript recognition consortium where members from traditional institutes, technology institutes, groups, and computational linguists will be part of that. And major goal would be to manuscript OCR, to do the OCR of manuscripts, proofing, content creation, dissemination, international and national communication, etc., from all perspectives. And then each partner, there's some rules and regulations for each partner institute. And I've also suggested a Shastra panel where the experts from technical disciplines of Sanskrit, like Ayurveda, biology, chemistry, etc., Jyotisha, all these will be also part of that group, so that they can make help in post editing of the text. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I enjoyed talking to you. I hope there'll be some questions. Thank you very much. Hello. We can't hear
Narayan,
you.
sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes, is this okay? Now, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
What I was telling that, thank you very much, Professor Jha. You have made a very good presentation. What is happening today in the field of cultural heritage through translation and through transformation through various machines and applications. So what I would like to suggest you that you may identify some centers or some institutions which may cooperate with you, or you can just entrust the responsibility on such institutions, and which can be worked out. We have some experts with us, but if you like, then you can enter in some kind of understanding with Society for Empowerment, and then we can go ahead with the work, because we have experts. And I welcome Shri Ravi Medhankar ji, the chief of the World Peace Mission, Buddhist World Peace Mission from Japan. Thank you very much for joining us. And I think that what Professor Jha has said, you must be having some interest in that, because that is your area, at least the historical part, and the contemporary part. I think that another friend from Sri Lanka will have some interest. So I think now स्वयं सिद्धा वो हैं श्रीलंका वाले साहब हैं कि नहीं
No, sir, he's not
स्क्रीन
here. Let me call him, sir.
because he's not, we are not seeing him on the script.
Sir, he has just left, and let me call him again, okay, sir?
So can we request Ravi Medhankar ji, the chairman of the Buddhist International Mission, to share his views on peace?
Uh, yes, good evening, everybody. I'm late because I was in another meeting, which is going the workshop on the Jain meditation. So I told you that I am in another, so I can join you. Then
So I'm happy that you joined us.
Yes, it was good, but I was preoccupied because this workshop is till tomorrow. So every day we have, by this time we finish. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think
but
that
I
is with
just
your.
heard from Dr. Jha that many
Oh,
good work is being done in this field, and that actually that should have done earlier, but now it is good time that people are trying their best, uh, because many things we lost due to that technology. So now the technology has developed and we get many. Due to technology I am able to talk to you, otherwise, see, calling from in India to Japan or Japan to India, it used to cost 1,000 to $1,500 every month to me, but now I am getting just maybe $30, $40 a month, like that. So many things due to technology it's changed. So what
yes.
Dr. Jha was describing, which I heard in the last few minutes, so that is a great effort the people are doing, and a number of devices, a number of softwares has come out which can help us to do the, I mean, digitization has made a lot of easy things, and we are sitting here and I can see the books in the California library and I can lend them also online. So this thing was not available when we were originally the students in 1980. We were not like that approach to those libraries, but now I'm sitting here, and due to this digitalization I can borrow the book from the UCLA and in Japan itself. So many things is getting good things, and preservation of those many documents. Actually, also when I'm coming on the history, that there are many these literatures, manuscripts in the Tibetan manuscripts are there, which have to be studied in to understand the Buddhism itself. So those things can also, as he was explaining, to make it a scan, and then it can be digitalized and can be available online for other people. Hmm. Now in the field of research, a lot of work has been done, and I'm seeing that also. Then there is a show the this one. So there are many new things to know that your this what you are doing the work is original or not. So the Ganga and other many things has developed. So I think it is a drastic change in the field of study. So Dr. Ran, I'm really sorry not to giving you
No,
too
it's
much time
okay.
today.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hmm.
Now, where is that Narada Thero? Could you find
I don't.
Swayam? Could you find him?
Yes.
Sir, I'm trying to contact him, but he's not picking up the call.
Oh, he is
Oh.
not picking up the phone. Okay. Okay, then. So thankful to we are thankful to both the speakers and wish that we could have more time to listen them. And
Hmm.
really, it's a good webinar today to enlighten us the knowledge. And once again, I thank you all. I think that we need to have a series on this knowledge, transfer of knowledge through machines, through technology, technological advancement, and our ancient Vedas and Sanskrit knowledge, because that will open a new vista of knowledge and new interpretation of various things. Our Gurukul system, how the books were kept and how the books were destroyed in Nalanda, in old Nalanda University, the oldest university.
Hmm.
So all that we can do with what uh, Professor Jha is
Um,
doing.
hmm. There are
It's a
many manuscripts in the Navnalanda Mahabihar. Original manuscripts are there. which is
There are
uh,
few original texts are there.
not few, a lot is there, because if you meet with Mr. Pandey, who is the in charge of the library there, Professor Pandey, he can give
Hmm.
you many, because there are a number of things which is not displayed. So which is displayed is there, but apart
Ah,
from the display,
true.
there are many manuscripts which is originally written in Tibetan. That is a great
Ah,
source. Mm.
and that is a great source. So if that is computerized,
Yes,
digitalized, and knowledge is transferred to other experts,
yes,
then that
that
will
need
reveal
to.
something more. Because we talk much about the education
Mm-hmm.
of the old Nalanda University. So that
Mm.
is one great work that will be, if it is done, it will be great. So the Society for Empowerment is ready to support Professor Jha in that respect, and the World Chief of Buddhism will also cooperate. You will also extend cooperation to you in that digitalization and its translation in current perspective, academic and research perspective. If that work is done, it will be something great work, great research work. So with these words, I thank you all for your coming and joining us in the webinar. So Professor Jha and Dr. Medhankar
Mm-hmm.
ji. So thank you
Okay,
very much.
so see you
We are
someday.
sorry
Yeah.
that our friend from Sri Lanka could not participate. I do not know why he came
No, no,
for
because
some
maybe
time.
the time, because actually they have to sleep early because they have to wake up by 4 o'clock, and
I
they have
see.
to do the daily, because monk's life is very hard. Also in Japan, also you have to get up by 4:30. You have to go for prayer and all these things. So the time
Mhm.
difference now at our place it is almost 11:28. So I
I
also
see.
must go to bed because the time difference makes a trouble.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now
So
it is
thank you
three
very
and a half. It will be there in India, not a time, because it will be 8 o'clock. But here is almost 11:28. So almost
much.
11 and a half.
So in the next
And
program when we invite, we will try to make it start a little earlier so that you can get
yes,
some time.
yes,
That
yes, yes.
okay.
Okay,
Ji.
thank
So
you and
namaste.
good night,
Thank you so
sir.
much.
So
Thank
see
you. Bye
you.
bye.
Ha. Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
बोलो स्वयं सिद्धा क्या